What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I got another video for y'all. As I mentioned earlier, I'm back on the grind. There's gonna be a lot of videos that are gonna be coming out in the next few days, and yeah, I'll just try to be more consistent. I was just away on a trip for 2 weeks, didn't have stable connections, so wasn't able to upload the best videos. But we're back on the grind. Today we have another video that I know a lot of people will enjoy because these are some of my best videos. It's another election prediction video, and I'll be doing the Road to 270 map. Just for some context, this is my fourth or fifth one, I believe, but some of them weren't really that good, and I don't really consider them to be official, so we'll say that this is probably my second official prediction after the video that I made that had the most views, I believe. I don't know which one it was. I think it was number 2 or something, but this is my second official one, because I do think this will definitely be a very possible outcome in the upcoming election. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the way I'll be doing this is I'll just be going over some of the safe states, then we'll be going over some of the swing states. And it's important to note that a lot's changed in the last 2 weeks, I would say. You know, the DNC happened. Oh, we're not going to put this one. Arizona. Okay, we'll fix this later. But a lot's changed. You know, the DNC happened. Trump's been having some difficulties with his campaign. There's been a lot of talk about J.D. Vance, and Tim Walz has also chosen the VP for Kamala Harris. So there's just a lot of things that have been going on. And ultimately, it really has shifted the pendulum in many respects, in different ways that we didn't really expect it, obviously. A lot of people thought that, you know, Trump had it in the bag pretty much when Biden dropped out, or before Biden dropped out, just because of how terrible it was going for his campaign. But a lot of things are changing now. It's definitely a completely different landscape, and there's a lot to note as well for the swing states. Like, there is a lot of factors to consider. So a state like Arizona is definitely going to be more tight than a state like Michigan, for example, because Michigan is definitely more Democrat leaning than it would be Republican leaning typically. So there is something like that to consider, but at the same token, I will be making a solid prediction on Arizona today, which I do believe will carry on all the way to the general election. And I do think, like, Arizona is one of those states, again, you don't usually see it being a swing state, but this year it's different. You know, this election is different. Ever since 2020, it's become a swing state. When Trump lost Arizona in the last election. And, okay, yeah, I think this is pretty much it for all the safe ones. Arizona is not blue. Disregard that for a second. I will be going over that in a second. It may be blue. You never know. But I'll be going over the results. So, start off with Michigan. We're looking at a New York Times poll. I've been seeing a big trend in Michigan. Kamala's made a lot of progress with the Arab community in Michigan. And she's really done a good job of trying to get the message out. You know, trying to shore up support there, because they really lost a lot of support under Biden due to his policies in Michigan. But then again, if you look at this one on Real Clear polling, you know, it's a 2-point lead for Kamala. It's pretty clear that she is winning in Michigan. Doesn't seem to be much of a contest there, especially since, again, keep in mind that she hasn't yet had the boost that she was expected to have after the DNC. But then again, if you look at 538. Yeah, 2.9 points. That's about 3. It's looking pretty solid for Kamala. I think Michigan, is fair to say that it's going to go blue. No doubt about it in my mind. Oh yeah, Minnesota. I don't know why I didn't put this blue. But Minnesota's blue as well. Then we'll go with Wisconsin. Wisconsin, another one where there's a lot of Democrat fears when Biden was still in the race. But if we look at Wisconsin right now, it's almost 4 points for Kamala, according to 538. But if we look at this one by Real Clear polling, it's a bit closer. It's 1 point if you include all of the different polls, if you average them all out. So it's a bit different, but then again, we do have a pretty clear margin in favor of Kamala for Wisconsin. And then again, if you look at the New York Times one, it's 49% to 47%. If you look at here, right here, so that would be start of August. It was almost tied. But then something happened, and boom, Kamala is on top. Wisconsin is going to Kamala, which again, this is another scenario that a lot of people have been doubting. They didn't think that Kamala could get 3 Rust Belt states, these 3 Rust Belt swing states, so Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. But I will be going to Pennsylvania in a second. I also will point out that North Carolina, I'll be going over this one as well. I accidentally put as solid red. It is not solid red, just to confirm that. We could go to Pennsylvania next. Pennsylvania is dead tied. It's 48-48. It's looking very close, according to the New York Times. But if we look at a poll from Real Clear Polling, it does show Trump in a lead, 0.2. And I believe that the last time I made the video, it was also pretty much the same thing, or it may have been in favor of Kamala. So Pennsylvania is changing a lot. It is a very crucial state, 9 electoral votes, so it's a pretty big deal. And then if we look at 538, they obviously have Kamala up by almost 2 points. Again, I'm gonna put aside Pennsylvania for 1 second, but putting all that in mind, let me know what you guys think about Pennsylvania. But I will be going over Pennsylvania at the end because I think it's probably one of the closest ones out of all of these races. So I'll be going over Arizona because I already put it as blue by accident. Now, if we look at 538, they're giving Harris Arizona by 1.3 points. This is very close. Arizona is a very crucial state again, like I mentioned. It is 11 electoral votes. It doesn't seem like it's too much, but then again, the symbolism of winning Arizona as a Democrat is a pretty big deal. If you look at Real Clear Polling, it's 0.2 for Trump. Similar thing to Pennsylvania. So again, very close race in Arizona. And then again, here we have Arizona through the New York Times poll. It is dead tied between Trump and Harris. I still believe, again, if you look at this, right when Biden dropped out, actually, so this would be when he dropped out, Harris was, I mean, you could tell it was almost like 9 points that she was down by 8 points. And she has completely climbed up the rankings. By the way, keep in mind the DNC poll boost has not come out yet, so that will definitely help her out in many ways. With that being said, I do think Arizona will be a blue state in this election because you also got to keep in mind in 2020 Arizona was expected to go red, and it did actually go the other way to the blues, to the Democrats. So if they do actually end up getting a lead in Arizona, which I do believe they will get in about 2 weeks or sooner, that will be pretty much on lock for Democrats. And Arizona has, they have a Democrat governor. They have Senator Mark Kelly. I don't know who the other senator is at the top of my head. I'm not sure if it's a Democrat or Republican, but then again, they do have a Democrat governor and a Democrat senator. So it has been slowly shifting to Democrats over the years, ever since 2020, I would say. We can look at Nevada next. So if we look at 538, again, Nevada's another state. Democrats usually win it, but it's been going Republican recently. So Nevada's been really close. It's been pretty much neck and neck if you look at it this way. So there's a period of time when I was away, actually, from about August 15th to August 18th, so 3 days really, maybe 4 days if you really want to count it that way, that Trump was leading Nevada. Why? I don't really know exactly, but it's sort of balanced out again, and now it is Harris plus 0.7, so very negligible amount that she is leading by. But then again, Nevada is a typically Democrat state, so there's a lot to be said about that. If you look at the Real Clear polling polls, it's actually Trump plus 1.4, so that is actually a lot more and a lot different from the 538 one. So what does this mean? Not much, but then again, if you look at these polls, they do seem kind of skewed. Like Trump plus 10, that's not happening anywhere, let's be honest. Trump plus 9, Trump plus 8, like it's just not happening. Oh, never mind, my bad. This is this is in July, so this is right before Biden. So again, pay attention to this. Before Biden dropped out, these were the numbers. Trump plus 10. I do believe these actually, because I did see them before. But then it completely changed. I mean, look at it this way now. It's Harris plus 2 for some of these, and it's really closed the gap quite a bit to plus 3, plus 3, plus 1, plus 2. So nothing above plus 3. So really goes to show how it's really tightened up the race. And if we do actually look at the 2020 results and the 2016 results, 2016 Clinton won by 2.4 percentage points, and the same thing in 2020 for Biden. So I'm not saying that's going to happen for sure, but that could be a hint as to what's to come. Maybe 2.4 is a lucky amount. Maybe it's within that range. I don't know. But I do think Nevada will go to Democrats. It is typically Democrat. I would be very surprised if it didn't go to Democrats, just because of how difficult it would be for Republicans to actually turn the tide, and considering that they've really been honestly failing recently. I mean, it's been a pretty bad campaign for Trump in the last few weeks. Moving on to Virginia. Virginia is another state. You don't really see it brought up often as a swing state because it's usually Democrat. But if we look at Virginia, Virginia has shifted quite a bit to the point that it's actually in contention. So if we look at it this way, Trump +4 for some of these polls. Trump +4, yeah, Trump is up in some of them. Then you do also have Harris support, +3, +3, +3. So this is pretty conflicting numbers if you really look at it this way. But we're going to look at the most recent numbers. August 20 to 22nd. This is very recently, in the last week. Harris +3. But I'll be taking a look at another poll just to make sure that this is not completely off. So if we look at Virginia, again, Virginia was not typically a swing state, but yeah, Harris +4, so kind of in line with this, the +3, +4 kind of thing. And New York Times actually doesn't have it as a swing state, so that's kind of surprising. Let me see if I can do this. Oh, I can actually do this and check it this way. Yeah, so +3, for the most part, it's Harris in the lead. Virginia, I'd be really surprised if it did not go to Democrats. It'd be really weird. So Virginia is going blue. I will go to North Carolina. I'll skip Pennsylvania again because I think Pennsylvania is a very important state to discuss, especially since it's a very interesting state because you don't really expect it, to be this close in this kind of election. I would have expected that it would have been Trump after the assassination attempt, but I guess not. That's pretty surprising in many ways. So we'll go to North Carolina now. North Carolina, Trump is up by 0.1. So one thing to keep in mind about North Carolina is that it's always been a very close state, but Republicans are doing terrible in terms of the gubernatorial election right now in the polling. But actually, if you look at it, no, my bad, I was actually looking at the wrong ones. Harris is up by 0.2. So yeah, it's flipped from Republican to Democrat. So if we look at it here, from August 21st onwards, Harris has pretty much obtained a lead in North Carolina, which is pretty surprising to say the least, because North Carolina is usually a red state. I will be looking at some other polls just to make sure that my prediction is correct. But if we look at the real clear polling, yeah, Trump is up like 0.9, but then again, you need to consider the fact that Trump was leading by 9 points against Biden, by 4 points against Biden, and ever since Biden dropped out, so this is the 24th, this is the day that he dropped out, I believe, immediately cut down by 2 points, so Trump +2, and that's pretty big margin. And then Harris +1. If we look at the most recent one, the most recent poll, we have it here from High Point / Survey USA. It does have Harris in the lead, but if we do actually combine all of these results, it is a Trump +0.9 situation. But we can also take a look at the New York Times one. So North Carolina, yeah, and they have Harris in the lead by 1 point. That's the most recent poll, by the way. So August 19th to 21st, this was the same Survey USA poll. I do think North Carolina will actually go to Democrats. It's been changing quite a bit. They have Roy Cooper as the governor of North Carolina, so they also have that kind of support. He can really rally the troops and shore up Democrat support in the state. And I do believe that it would be really surprising if Republicans could turn it around, especially since they have that candidate. I don't know what the name of the candidate is, the Republican one, but he's down by like 10 points or something. So if you're losing that badly at the gubernatorial level, it's not really good indication of what's going to happen or it's not a good sign for what's to happen at the general election level. Lastly, we got Pennsylvania. This is probably everyone's favorite state to talk about just because of how close it is and how much it changes every day. Now, I will say this about Pennsylvania. I do think it is probably the most important state in the election. I think everybody agrees on that pretty much. but it is also probably the hardest to call. Pennsylvania is extremely close, and we won't really know what's going to happen until Election Day. Keep in mind, Trump won Pennsylvania in 2016 but lost in 2020, and many people were saying that Clinton's going to win in 2016. So, if I do say that Harris is going to win, I don't want to be the one guy who bites my own words and comes back to it and is like, I don't know, maybe she's going to lose, or maybe she lost, whatever. You know, I don't want to be in that kind of situation. Oh yeah, I also forgot to mention Georgia. I'll be going over that in a second. I kind of forgot that's a swing state at one point because it was also it was in a situation where they were in a situation, the Democrats especially, where Georgia seemed out of reach under Biden. So if we look here, this is when Biden dropped out. It was almost 10 points here. That's pretty bad. That is pretty bad, but it has changed quite a bit. So I'll be going over Georgia lastly after this. But yeah, if we look at Pennsylvania, it is neck and neck, 48-48. So we can't really tell much from that. If we do look at this one by real clear polling, we do have Trump up by 0.2, as I mentioned previously. Does that really mean much? Not really, but then again, it is a victory nonetheless at the moment. But then if we look at 538, it's Harris up plus 1.8, so that's about 2%. 2 points for Harris. So if we really average these out, if we look at all of these, Harris is actually in a position to win Pennsylvania, or at least she's projected to. And also keep in mind, Josh Shapiro is the governor of Pennsylvania. They do have John Fetterman, and I think they have another Democrat senator as well. So they do have a lot of support in Pennsylvania in terms of government. I know Pennsylvania is a swing state, but I think they're more likely to vote Democrat than a state like Georgia, who I will be going over in a second. So I do think Pennsylvania is definitely within the realm of possibility for Democrats to win. Actually, I didn't really consent, but I think it is in the realm of possibility for the Democrats to win Pennsylvania. That is without a doubt. And then Georgia, I'll be going over Georgia. I don't think Georgia is as close as people make it to be, but I think it's worth going over just real quickly. Like I mentioned, it was a pretty big gap, almost 10 points before Biden dropped out. And according to New York Times, it's now a 4-point game. Still, that's not really close. I would say anything within 2 points is close. So that's not really in that margin, but you never know. You never know what's going to happen. Oh, wow, this is actually kind of surprising. Trump +1 in the real clear polling. So this is what I mean. The polls are never completely accurate. You always got to keep them with a grain of salt. Take them with a grain of salt. But if you look at it this way, like this is a 3-point difference from what I'm seeing in both these polls. So I'll be going with the 538 one. I'll be making my judgment based on that one. Again, Trump plus 0.8. Yeah, actually, you know, I'm not going to make my judgment based on this because look at it this way. August 15th, Harris was up 0.2. August 16th, Trump was up 0.2. And ever since then, it's been Trump's lead, but it's really gone close at certain times. It's been, you know, look, plus 1.2, and then it got really close to plus 0.4 at one point. So it's really close, and I don't know if the polls really mean anything in terms of a state like Georgia, especially since they can be so skewed. Like this is +4, this is plus within 1 point, and then this is also within 1 point. So I don't think the polls mean much. I will be going over. I'll just be basing it on my prediction, what I think will happen based on my views and everything I've seen, and the way that these states tend to go. Based on 2020 and based on the way that Kamala's been able to shore up support, I do think Georgia will go to Democrats, and that will most definitely give Democrats a presidency by a lot. This is a landslide, almost 319 to 219. I do believe Kamala Harris will win the presidency pretty comfortably from the way it stands right now, unless something really major happens, and or if Trump is able to completely turn around his campaign. I don't see how Republicans can win this. It seems like a completely lost race for them at this point. You know, they're having issues with J.D. Vance, they're having issues with Trump, they're having issues with lines of attack, and Democrats are just completely locked in. They have all the support they need. They are completely rallied and united behind their candidates, Tim Walz and Kamala Harris. And just a point on Tim Walz, I mean, he's been doing a pretty good job of being like this sort of attack pit bull for the Democrats that they really have needed for a while now, because their whole thing has been, and I'm not saying this as a Democrat nor a Republican, but I'm just saying this as an observer of U.S. politics, that the Democrats' whole motto and mantra has been, if the Republicans go low, we're going to go high. But I think Tim Walz has really changed that sort of idea by embodying the spirit of, no. If they go low, I'll go low too. Or I'll go for the kill, or whatever it is. Same thing as we saw in Obama's speech. I will be going over some of the speeches later on in some other videos. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I know this is going to be very controversial. Again, just to confirm and reiterate, I am not a Republican nor a Democrat. I don't have any special interests in this election. I'm simply reporting on the facts and the judgments that I made based on my intuition have zero built-in political bias. So just keep that in mind before you start flaming in the comments below. But I do hope that you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see y'all in the next one.